Welcome to Salisbury University on the Air, a program highlighting the activities and the people of the campus. My name is Susan Purnell. For students graduating from college, degrees are important assets to help them start in their careers. While classroom experience is important, of equal value is what students learn and experience outside the classroom, including volunteer and internship opportunities. Here to tell us about some of those experiences are SU Student United Way President Brielle McQuiston, Director of Career Services Kevin Fallon, and Abby Snow, a student from the Applied Business Learning Experience Program. First is Brielle. So welcome, Brielle.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, great to have you. And tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you ended up here.
Awesome. So I'm actually from Media, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia.
Know it well.
Yes, one of my favorite places. And I found SU through my high school, through my guidance counselor at the time. And I came to SU and really just fell in love. It's obviously a beautiful campus, but besides that, I really loved the size and how classes are kind of small so that you can form a relationship with your professor. I love the location, how we're kind of in the middle of a developing city, a revitalizing area. And I also love the diversity of programs that SU offers. So my interests lie in business and environmental studies and sustainability. So I love how SU lets me combine those two things and really have a cool interdisciplinary academic career.
Now, I know you're the president of the student version of the United Way here.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
How'd you get involved in that?
So I actually went to the Honors College my freshman year, one of my first weeks here, and they had a panel about internships. And I was like, let me just go and explore. And I met a girl named Eleanor Brown, and at the time she was president of Student United Way. And she spoke about her experience with Student United Way and her internship at the United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore. And I went up to her after the panel and I said, how can I get involved? Because at the time I was new to the Salisbury area and I really wanted to explore Salisbury and learn where its problems are, where its strengths are. And I thought that a nonprofit would be a great way to kind of explore the area. So Eleanor gave me her card and she said, email me and I'll get you involved. And so that led to me interning at the United Way and then becoming really involved with Student United Way and rest is history.
Well, what kind of efforts do you do here on campus on behalf of the United Way?
Yeah, so we work obviously with the United Way and we work within their mission, which is financial stability, health, and education. So United Way actually funds over 70 local nonprofits.
I know.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Actually affects 1 in 3 people on the Lower Eastern Shore. So we, as a student organization, really try to get SU students involved with these nonprofits that United Way funds. So we do a lot of different projects almost every weekend, and we do things such as Habitat for Humanity builds, Chesapeake Housing Mission ramp builds. We serve at local soup kitchens and help with organizing food pantries. And then we do smaller things, such as a couple days ago, we made cards for the MAC Senior Center, holiday cards, and that was just a sweet way to round out the semester.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, I know that also, didn't you do last year one of these things where you could have your papers shredded here on campus, something like that?
Yeah, so we have Shred Day every semester, and that's kind of the other component of Student United Way. So we have the volunteering side, and then we have the fundraising side.
Okay.
So it's awesome to give students an experience with fundraising at the college level, and it's taught me a lot about how to ask for donations and just getting involved in that way, which is a unique skill to have once we enter the workforce.
It truly is. Because even if you don't have a job in fundraising per se, you'll probably be involved with some nonprofit organization where fundraising is always necessary.
Exactly, yeah.
So that is a great skill to learn. I wish I'd learned it earlier.
I'm fortunate that Student United Way has allowed me to do that because we have Shred Day and then we have our Halloween 5K. So our Halloween 5K is our biggest fundraising event of the semester. And we raised October in the 5K, we raised $6,000 for the United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore.
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
I know that they appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of other fundraising and extra volunteering kinds of opportunities other than just the United Way for students. Can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, so SU is actually affiliated with a lot of national efforts, such as Toys for Tots. That's a big one on campus. There's a turkey trot and a teddy bear toss at the basketball games for Toys for Tots. And then besides national efforts, there's a lot of student groups as well, besides Student United Way, that are involved with volunteering, such as there's a new program called the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance, which I'm actually a part of as well, and it's a blossoming new program where students can become nonprofit certified, and they can intern with a local nonprofit and take a course, attend a conference, and get the certification. So there's a ton of ways besides that as well to get involved with volunteering.
And then also the I Love Salisbury Days.
Yes, exactly. That's through Student Government Association, and that's a day when all of the clubs come together and they go out in the community and just outreach, and it's a great day.
That was such a good thing to start because I think it improved the relationship between the college and the community
Exactly.
immensely.
Yes.
So I imagine that your experiences with all of these volunteering efforts have meant a lot to you personally. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's really rewarding just seeing how I can give back to my new community. As a college student, I can't always give financially to different groups, but I can give my time, and that has proved a really valuable personal asset for me, whether it's going out on a Saturday morning with a group and finding different homeless populations and giving them supplies and a hot meal, or serving at a local church and giving food there. Just giving my time has been really personally rewarding. And then besides seeing that really tangible impact I can make through volunteering, just the personal relationships I've formed have been really valuable to me with my fellow students in Student United Way, and with friendships I've made at United Way through their staff and their board. So there's so many things that have given back to me through Student United Way.
They really are. I mean, my mom has this little sign in her home that says, "The joy that you give to others is the joy that comes back to you."
Oh, I love that.
And I look at that a lot and think that it's really true.
Yeah.
You know, those who give get. And,
Exactly.
and I guess you've experienced that in all the giving
Oh,
that
yes.
you've experienced this past, you're a senior?
A junior.
A junior, right?
Yes.
Last couple
Yes.
of years. What do you think it says about SU in general and the student body here with regard to how much they volunteer?
Yeah, I think it says a lot about us as a college community. I think it says that we're here as students to do more than just learn. We're here to apply what we learn out in the real world, whether it can be a technical skill, such as like if you're an accounting major, you can help a local organization with their bookkeeping, or if you know things about environmental studies, you can work with a environmental group and give your skills there. And I think it really just shows that we're here to take what we learn about technical things and also about the things we learn about being a good human, and we're applying that out in our new community.
I think that's a wonderful answer, and I'm glad that you've had this experience, and I'm sure that your enthusiasm is rubbed off on a lot of other people.
I hope.
So Brielle, so great to meet you.
Thank you. It was
Thanks for
great
being
meeting
here
you.
today. In just a moment, we'll speak with Kevin Fallon, SU Director of Career Services. But first, let's take a look at some of the recent volunteer efforts by SU students.
Hundreds of hearts, thousands of hands, creating immeasurable hope and smiles. Volunteering and giving back is part of who we are at Salisbury University. For our campus, community extends beyond our classrooms, into neighborhoods, throughout our city, and across our region. As students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends, we strive to make a positive impact on the lives of others. A hot meal, helping children and families in need. For us, community means coming together. In this season and throughout the year, Salisbury University is grateful to be part of such a wonderful community.
Next, we're joined by Kevin Fallon, Director of Career Services. So welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you.
4
Great to be
years
here.
since you've been here.
Hard to imagine.
How did you stay away? Tell us a little bit about how you got to SU and a little bit about your current situation here with Career Services.
Okay, that's actually a very interesting story. So
Okay.
I studied accounting as an undergrad, and my first job out of school, I was an auditor, and my audit client was Purdue. So I was down in Salisbury a couple of weeks out of every year on the Purdue audit. So I knew about the university. It was very different back then, the mid-90s. When I came back in 2015 for the interview, I couldn't recognize the place.
Oh, I know.
The transformation
the
has
growth in
been-
that time period was exponential. It was unbelievable.
So I had heard about that they needed a career services person, so I threw my hat in the ring, and the rest is history.
So as a part of Career Services, I know you're helping all the time. People think about what they're going to do next after college. This year you have, I guess, joined into a partnership with the city with a new organization called, or a volunteer opportunity called the Gull Spots.
Gull Spots, yes.
Explain that one to me.
So our students came to us. You've heard of the Big Day and I Love Salisbury,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So we have a lot of students who want to participate in those events, but for one reason or another, it could be that they're working or they're on a sports team, they're not able to participate. Mm-hmm. So they came to us and they said, are there other opportunities to give back to the city and help? Wow. And so we started
student
we started thinking about this idea where we could work with the city. Mm-hmm. The city or residents of the city can identify spots around town that need a little TLC, could use a little cleaning up, and then we'll meet and discuss the project, make sure that it is something that we can deliver students to, and then we'll go out. And so we're hoping to start in January with our first one of the parks in town. And the idea is actually starting to grow even beyond. Now the students are saying, well, we could turn it into a competition where we could form teams and adopt a park and then see who can do the greatest transformation of a park.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, where do they get the money to do that kind of work?
So we do have some grant money that comes in through the foundation, Salisbury Foundation, to the Volunteer Center.
Oh, good.
And then we were also thinking about going out and maybe soliciting some sponsorships from places like Home Depot or Lowe's.
That's a great idea for them to give you the products, the materials that you need to do what you're going to do.
So we're looking forward to it.
So volunteering, which is not always a part of everybody's academic experience, but is becoming more and more, I think, a part. What do you think is the importance of it?
It's tremendously important. I can tell you study after study. There's two big ones out there. So you know Gallup, right? The Gallup poll.
Sure.
Well, Gallup does a lot of research on the workplace, global workplace. And one of the things that they've studied is the transition of college students from college student to working professional. And in that research study, they identified 6 key experiences every college student should have. And one of those key experiences is working on long-term projects and volunteerism. Because students who are actively engaged in their community volunteering, they're developing skills, but they're also developing networking contacts. You know, a couple years ago, we had a student, she was an exercise science major, and she wanted to work in cardiac rehab. So we recommended to her that she volunteer up at PRMC. So she volunteered multiple semesters, and then when it came time to get an internship, she had a whole network of people in that building that wanted her to stay at PRMC for her internship, but they were also helping her set up interviews with other organizations as well for the internship related to her profession.
It's incredible foot in the door, I think, with an organization.
What I love most about it is it's a everybody wins kind of scenario. The students are getting skills and networking contacts. They're also giving back, you know, so it's good personal development. And then the local community is also benefiting as well. So.
Oh, that's for sure. In career services, you start when with a student? When does somebody come to you?
We would love it if they came day one.
Really?
We actually are engaged with the local community in the high school. So we're working with junior achievement. We're working with Wacomico County Public Schools, where we're going out into high schools and talking to high school students about the skills that they're going to need developed to be successful in the future. Then we continue on with that. We're a part of open house events where prospective students come in. We actually present some career services related information at open house. And then orientation, again, we see them at orientation. And then we hope that they'll come see us. And that is definitely a trend that we have noted. Students are starting to come to us earlier and earlier in their college career. You know, years ago, when I first started as a career services person, students would wait until the last 2 weeks of the last semester.
Guess what? I don't have a job.
And they would say, Mom and Dad said I'm about to graduate and I can't sleep on the couch, so help me write a resume. And that's really, nowadays, that's really too late. We're really hoping that students do come see us first year, second year, so that we can help them kind of map out that success plan so that they can get
and you
really
build a relationship with them so you understand what their strengths and weaknesses are and you know which direction to point them in, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Now let's talk a little bit more about these internships that that you mentioned earlier. Are there lots of them available in the community? Tell me a little bit.
Absolutely, positively. Locally, but then also throughout the region. So we have a lot of students going around the region, that might leave Salisbury and go across the bridge. We've even had students go as far away as Minnesota to the Mayo Clinic.
Do they go there after the academic year? Would that be when they
during the summer?
During the summers?
So during the summer months.
Okay.
Now we do have some students. Internships have changed a lot over the years. I've been involved in career services going back over 10 years now. And it used to be when everybody heard the word internship, it was 10 weeks during the summer, right, working for an employer. Now it's any time of year. It can be, in the evenings, weekends. It's what we encourage students to do is think about what they want to do professionally after they graduate from school, and then test it out, give it a try. Recently, I worked with a student from the Purdue School of Business. He needed to have an internship during the academic year here in Salisbury. So we went to Google and we Googled the top 10 companies located in Salisbury, Maryland. Then we went over to LinkedIn and we looked up people in human resources and recruiting for each one of those 10 companies. The first company he went to, they hired him on the spot for his internship.
And do most of them get paid, or do they do that?
Yes.
They do
yes,
get paid.
yeah.
Okay.
In unpaid internships in some professions, like for example, if it's in the creative field, if you want to work in an advertising agency in New York or a film production company in Los Angeles, unpaid internships used to be the only way in. However, there's been a lot of litigation with unpaid internships.
Oh, really?
So a lot of people are starting to shy away from that. So when an employer calls our office and says, we'd like to hire some interns, and if they tell us it's unpaid, we caution them strongly and say, well, first of all, in an economy like this, with a labor market as tight as it is, you're not likely to see a lot of great candidates.
Right.
Because there is so much opportunity out there for our
And
students.
the smart kids know they can get paid for it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's hard, as a college student, you have a lot of expenses. I mean, getting to and from the internship alone, if your internship is in downtown DC or Midtown Manhattan and you're commuting in, your commuting costs plus lunch while you're at work, that right there alone.
You've got to get paid something. Yeah.
I agree.
Do you get any calls from employers that say, okay, I need a specific kind of person for an internship? I mean, is this, or do you go seeking? How's that work?
We do receive a lot of calls in asking us, we have 5 internship opportunities. Can you post this and make it available to your students? But then we also have students who are getting out there and creating their own internships. So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, I would like to work in human resources in the hospitality industry. So they'll go over to organizations over in Ocean City and they'll introduce themselves. They're either doing it electronically online through LinkedIn or by going and visiting in person. So sometimes students are able to create their own internships. One time I was working with a swimmer. We do this exercise with students where we ask them, if they're having trouble figuring out what they want to do career-wise, we'll ask them, what are you good at and what do you enjoy? And they'll give us their list, and then we'll ask them, okay, now if you look at your list, the things that are on there, does the world need you to do it, and can you make a living doing it? So she had swimming on her list, and I said, does the world need you to be a swimmer, and can you make money? And she said, well, I'm not as good as Katie Ledecky, so I'm probably not going to make a fortune as a swimmer. I said, however, you're a marketing major, right? And she said, yes. I said, well, what about getting a marketing internship with the company that makes your goggles or your swim cap or your bathing suit or the dividers in the pool? So she went over to LinkedIn and she looked at all the companies, all the famous brands that work with swimmers, and she reached out to one through LinkedIn. She actually found a Salisbury alum who was working at one of those organizations, and she created her internship that way.
Just brilliant.
That's amazing.
This is the most incredible time to be in career services. It really is, because the technology.
You've been doing it a long time, and
earn the gray hair.
I guess my last question to you is, how rewarding is it for you to be in this position where you're helping people every day?
It's incredibly rewarding. That right there is why most of us are in it. We're in it because of the joy and the satisfaction that comes from watching our students flourish. I mean, I can tell you story after story of students who would come in the first year, second year, a little nervous, apprehensive, not really knowing it, feeling good about resume, cover letter, networking, and all that. And then they graduate and they leave us and they get these great jobs. And they actually come back and tell us.
And say,
they
guess
come back
what?
and they thank us.
You helped.
If you've ever met Charlie Endicott in our office and Gloria Horner, they have students that will come back in after they've graduated and say, I just want to thank you. I got this great career because of everything that you all helped me with. And that's what we love to hear the most. So that's the best part of the job.
That makes you go home with a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious you love your job.
Definitely.
And it's
fortunate.
Just so great that we have someone like you in it to help all of our students find what's next after college. Next, we will speak with Abby Snow about a great learning opportunity for students at SU that takes place outside of the classroom. But first, let's take a look at some of the events on campus in January. I'm joined by Abby Snow, a student in the Purdue School of Business. Welcome, Abby. So good to meet you.
You too.
Absolutely. Tell me what brought you to SU to pursue your career.
So a lot of the reason I decided to come to Salisbury was I was looking at a bunch of other colleges, both in and out of state, and I really knew coming into college I wanted to be an international business major. That has changed in 4 years, but
what are you now?
I know. So I'm corporate finance now, but I knew I wanted to be international business coming in, and there was a requirement to study abroad. So I was looking at which places each college offered to go abroad, and I knew I wanted to go to Spain, so I was kind of looking at the cities. So that was part of it. We just had the best option here.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I did actually.
Where'd you go to Spain?
So Malaga, Spain was where I was.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah,
I've been
down
there.
south. Yeah, I loved it. I was
Beautiful.
there for 5 months about, so that was great. I loved that experience. And then obviously just Salisbury being the most affordable in state, all of that was really a benefit. Yeah.
That's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
That is. Now, you're in the Purdue School, and I know that you have just taken in an internship project through the Applied Business Learning Experience, which we call ABLE.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that program.
Yeah, so the basic requirements are you have to complete a 10-week internship, and then there's a minimum of 10 hours a week. So they can go over, like as Kevin was saying, sometimes you can do it in the summer, so obviously you can give more time in the summer than you can during the semester, but if you're doing it during the semester, it's a little easier to meet that 10-hour requirement. Past that, it has to be something that you're studying, so in the field. So like for me, it would be finance. For other people, it would be marketing. So a certain percentage has to meet that. So mine that I did was an accounting internship, but because I'm finance with an accounting minor, it fit that criteria. So it was in the field, able to apply to what I want to do in the future.
So is the Purdue School the only school that requires an internship?
So it is not. Every school and field of study has their own requirements. They're a little bit different than ours, but overall, all students are required.
And the program that you just completed, what was that?
The one that I just completed, it was in Columbia, Maryland. It was an accounting internship. It was with this company called COPT, so they're Corporate Office Properties Trust is what they stand for. So they're a real estate investment group. So they work a lot with the government. So I did project accounting with them. So a lot of it was like looking at journal entries, figuring out how to make reconciliations, learning a bunch of new softwares that I may or may not touch in the future. So that helped kind of expand my knowledge.
Well, the way technology is going, in a year, it could be completely different.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But just being able to adapt in that way is good. How do you think it helped you in terms of your classroom experience?
Yeah. So what's interesting is I'm taking a accounting class right now, and it is international accounting, so it's a little bit different than what I did at my internship, but the internship gave me this ability to understand how really big, like 10 to 100 row journal entries can differ. I didn't have to do them by hand. I did them all in Excel, which we see in classes, but it's not really to that extent. So it was interesting kind of getting this like hands-on experience and then being able to transfer it. And I have a deeper knowledge of accounting in general, which then also gave me more understanding of my finance classes.
So everything made sense because you could apply it to what you learned.
Yeah.
That's really great. Do you feel now that after that intern experience, you will have a leg up in terms of looking for a career?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So having an internship really gives you that ability to apply what you've learned to the real world and then do better in your classes as a result. So now I can market myself better to employers. I have things to talk about in interviews. If for any reason an employer uses the same software or even a different software, I can explain the way in which I already learned this previous software and here's how it applies to the software you guys use. So it really gives me more talking points in an interview and will give me an upper hand.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea where you're going to apply or what you want to do exactly now?
So I'm still figuring it out. I'm probably headed back to the Baltimore, D.C. area. We'll see where everything takes me. But I will be in the finance department. I'm currently trying to figure out what industry. I've kind of had a leg in a little bit of like real estate, hospitals, different things to give me a variety. So I know which ones I like, which ones I don't like. So I'm just kind of looking around to see where I can get.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction,
Yeah.
okay? You're going to find a job very easily.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You actually are so articulate and so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And so it's fantastic that you've had this experience here at SU and that you'll
Yeah.
be able to translate into something that can fulfill you.
Yeah,
long
thank
term.
you.
So good luck to you.
Thank you
Nice
so
to meet
much.
you.
You too.
For the students at SU, it is clearly not just about what happens in the classroom. From volunteering to internship opportunities, the learning environment is everywhere. I'd like to thank my guests today, Brielle McQuiston, Student United Way President, Kevin Fallon, Director of Career Services, and Abby Snow, a student in the Applied Business Learning Experience program. The holidays are upon us, and on behalf of everyone at SU and PAC 14, I hope yours are fun, safe, and prosperous. I'm Susan Purnell. This has been Salisbury University on the Air. Thank you for watching.